a little bit about my career background and current role. Well, the spiraling journey to where I am today started on a farm in central Victoria where I grew up. And I suppose my first job was cleaning up a shearing shed for my father at shearing time and making sure that that was all neat for the shearers. The first job and the first career I had that I actually paid tax for, don't tell the Australian tax office, was as a professional ball boy at the Australian Open at the age of 12. Ball boying epic players now at the start of their careers like Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal, which was really cool. Whilst I was at high school, however, I think perhaps one of the most formative things that I did was made the lucky decision to learn Indonesian language, which I'm now kind of a semi-fluent speaker of, which I think is really cool. I learned Indonesian so that I could travel overseas, and also my friends were doing it, and I thought my teacher was really cool. And what ended up happening after I graduated finance and economics from Melbourne University was an aspiration to start my career in Indonesia. I was lucky enough to kind of join Bain & Company, the strategy consulting firm, in their Southeast Asia office, initially in their Singapore office because I couldn't get a visa, but then spent quite a number of years in their Indonesia office, working in their strategy and private equity teams. I ended up working for Bain & Company in a number of different fields in Manila, Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Jakarta, Lagos, Nigeria, under the protection of an armed guard, as well as their Australian office over about 4 years, which was just awesome. And then kind of fast forward, I decided to leave Bain to launch Antler in Australia with Bede Moore. So Antler is a global early stage venture capital firm that supports exceptional people to build companies from the ground up. In Australia, after about 18 months of operation here, we've invested in 36 teams or 36 startup companies, which is just fantastic. I joined Antler as our head of venture development and program in Australia, establishing all of our venture development processes to invest in great startup companies. And right now, I'm the global head of program for Antler. So I support the establishment and operation of our programs around the world, as well as the founder of Antler Education, which is a global operating business unit of Antler that has a number of projects and products to support more and more people build startup companies. So the Antler Launch Academy is our first project where we share Antler's real startup generation content with the broader audience, allowing lots and lots of people to build things boldly. The sprints that have made up my career journey, yeah, there's been a few. Something I always think about is I consider my career in seasons, like the weather. And in the past, I've made a promise to myself that every one of these seasons should be 18 months. Because otherwise you kind of are constantly in this weird state of flux where you're trying to make a decision and re-promise to yourself that this is the right place for you to kind of do your life's work and be your best. So I guess the first thought is that, yeah, there's a lot of sprints in your career, and I consider my career in seasons of 18 months and kind of re-promise to myself every 18 months that this is the place where I should be. And when I was at, I suppose, Bain & Company, the strategy consulting firm, I feel like there were a couple of really cool seasons of my career. So the first one was learning to deliver component parts of true commercial value. So you graduate university and you think you know everything, but you step into the big wide world of hardcore commerce, and you realize that, hey, I'm a really small part of the puzzle. And starting to work out, hey, how can I actually support the broader mission as to what we're trying to achieve on this project, whether it be through analysis or great recommendations or client relationships or just hustling, was a great early stage of my career. And within that, there was a kind of a number of really stressful sprints when you can't work out something as that's now quite simple, say Excel modeling or getting data from clients. But I guess the first true season of my career, the first true 18 months at Bain & Company, was delivering component parts of commercial value within something broader. I then moved to kind of the next key bit, which was delivering commercial value in full. And that's where you need to consider like owning a work stream or something similar and actually translating like a request from a client or part of the professional services firm to kind of something you can deliver to a client and actually receive kind of a commercial benefit to. And now the kind of season that I'm in my career is leading a team that delivers true commercial value. So at Antler Education, I think we're building really, really cool things that are going to make people kind of pursue their activating people's adventures and pursuing their entrepreneurial endeavors. And we need to, in order to kind of achieve all of what we want to achieve, we need multiple people to join us on this mission. So we kind of have about 5 people that contribute to this project now, and it's making sure that everyone's super energized and knows what direction they're heading in, so that we can, achieve our goals. So my current season is leading a team of people that delivers commercial value. And then I think that the last step on this kind of career journey for most is leading a team of teams that delivers commercial value, which is kind of by definition what executives do. Which can be quite challenging. So yeah, I think that there's been a couple of cool sprints in my career, and I'm gradually kind of working through this roadmap of what it is to deliver component parts of commercial value. So that's kind of step 1. Step 2 is delivering commercial value in full. Step 3 is leading a team that delivers commercial value in full. And then step 4 is leading a team of teams that delivers a commercial value in full. The worst career advice I've ever received. Well, I think this concept of linearity is actually not great career advice. So this concept of figuring out what you want to do and kind of like working your way up within that perhaps an organization, like a really linear career, like do this and you will achieve this, do this and you will achieve this, do this and you will achieve this. I don't know. I don't think that's great advice. And the reason is that I think, and whilst this might be fairly uncontroversial, but climbing the career ladder, as Level describes it, isn't always the best path for people. So it's certainly the paths with the most data points, but it definitely, isn't always the best path. And the reason is this: I think that there's an epic ambition and beauty and passion that comes with attaching yourself or creating or owning true outcomes of commercial value that you can then kind of grow, and then you can grow with it. And what I mean by that is, rather than trying to earn a leadership position by acting really linearly, why don't you go and figure out how to build something so that but by virtue of you making something better or kind of generating more commercial value, you just need to grow as an individual to kind of support that ambition and support that outcome. But then you also likely need more people and resources and leverage, whether that be capital or technical or people or contractors or whatnot, to join you in order to sustain that level of growth or kind of to sustain that new BAU in what you've built. So yeah, I think that this concept of earn your stripes or linearity in a career, work your way up and do the right things so you can achieve the next outcome, isn't always the best career advice. Sometimes I think it's better to kind of find a platform where you can grow something epic and then you grow with it, and you can do so quite quickly. I think that's perhaps a cool concept to consider. What I wish I knew at the start of my career. I think the first one is that passion is worth 25 IQ points. So this kind of thought that you should give things energy, and the world and the workplaces need more people that say yes to things and then kind of grab things with 2 hands and charge forward with it. And they do so with energy and vibe and passion and motivation. So I think that, this was on Twitter recently, but I think that there was this great quote, passion is worth 25 IQ points. And then perhaps the other one is that you need to be 1 step ahead or you're 2 steps behind. That kind of, that mantra generally holds. So if you're perhaps starting your career, always kind of be thinking about, what is your audience thinking about? And therefore, how can I be prepared for that? Or what is your supervisor or team thinking about? And how can I contribute to that? Or what kind of risks are upcoming and how can I, prevent that? So like, when is my rent due? Like, pay your rent on time or pay your rent early. Otherwise you're going to be behind. So it's maybe a silly analogy, but be one step ahead or two steps behind always kind of makes me think about like, what's next? How can I be prepared? And then generally you build momentum and then things start to flow. So what I wish I knew is that passion and energy is worth 25 IQ points, and be one step ahead or you're two steps behind. What is the biggest mistake you've ever made? Well, pondering this, I think that every mistake I've made, and there's a whole series of fortunately, quite micro mistakes, have been because I've been very inwardly focused. So, for good or for bad, I think that we're all born with flaws, and I was born with many, and the two that seem to be born with that are terrible is that, well, firstly, I have this inability to grow a beard. Secondly, perhaps more importantly, is that I have some innate level of intensity that doesn't necessarily seem to go away. And I think that there's been times throughout my career when I've been quite inwardly focused, when it would have been better just to kind of laugh or to praise or to high five and to stop and enjoy time with others, rather than pursue something with just too much intensity and too much focus and be really inwardly focused. And whilst I take pride in the epic relationships that I've had the absolute joy of forming through my career and the good humans that choose to work with me and choose to let me be within their team, I think it's worth remembering that we're only on the earth for a few rotations, and we spend a good amount of those rotations building our careers, and hopefully careers that we're proud of and careers with others. And it's really important to not be inwardly focused and take time to high five more. So yeah, I think biggest mistakes are around being too inwardly focused when I should have been enjoying time with others. What do I think has been key to my success? Well, firstly, I don't know if I don't know what the definition of success is. I don't know if I'm successful. I don't know if there's a recipe. But here's something I think about a lot. So whenever I'm swamped or I'm losing motivation, I take a great pen, and I don't spend tons of money on Mont Blancs or whatever, but I'm somewhere between Officeworks budget pack and Mont Blanc. And I take a nice notebook and I just write down how I can grow in this current situation. And the reason I do this is because I have this principle that when you're kind of choosing career options, you need to choose an option where when things go really, really well, that's epic. Every single one of your wishes is achieved. Maybe it's financial or impact, or for those that enjoy, maybe it's kind of publicity or whatnot. Maybe it's, I don't know, winning a gold medal. But when I choose my career options, I always choose an option where there's potential that I can reach epicness, but then in the absolute worst case scenario, I can still learn a lot. And still, for me, still learning a lot is great. So if I'm losing motivation or I'm flat, I just sit down and reflect how I can learn. And I think I haven't yet had epic epiphanies, but I do think this kind of constant focus when you feel like you're not moving forward and you feel flat and you feel like you're losing motivation, kind of coming back to, well, hey, how can I make the most out of this situation just to learn and to grow? I think has allowed me to kind of continue to become a better human. So I don't know if that's the key to my success, but I've had cool reflections through that process, which I think, I don't know, might have helped.